Welcome to David and David on Real Estate. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of the real estate market.
Good morning and welcome to the David on David Real Estate podcast. And today we have podcast number 28. It's a special one because we have with us a special guest. We have Gord from a wonderful company called InAgent. Good morning, Gord. And good morning, David.
Good morning. Welcome, Gord. It's a pleasure to have you on here and brighten up our day. You got the nice, purple chairs or violet. I'm not sure what color it is, but looks great in the background there, the InAgent sign. And we're really excited to hear all about InAgent today. And welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, it's my pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Before we get into InAgent, I am going to give everybody a quick market update. It's still really busy out there. We're still seeing multiple offers. We're still seeing low inventory levels. I've been hearing a lot of market updates being done by different individuals. And the term that I'm hearing being thrown around now is that instead of low inventory, we have quick inventory out there, which really makes a lot of sense because anything that is listed, anything that is coming to market is moving very quickly. So when you take a snapshot of the market, it looks like there's very little inventory, which there still is, still record low inventory levels. But we also have a phenomenon called quick inventory, where things that are being listed are moving very quickly, so that when you really look at the snapshot of the market, it really seems like there's not a lot of listings out there.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because whatever's there is going pretty fast. I know at our end, we're in our typical January lull right now where, the deals aren't coming in the same volumes that we do get other months, but that's sort of typical for every January. And this one's been no exception. So, I'm hoping that, the spring is going to turn out to be typical as well. And things will ramp up like it usually does once we get into the later part of February and March and more inventory comes on the market.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as a business owner, we use this time to really catch up on a lot of our processes, our systems. Like we're working to update our Ministry of Labor compliance. We're updating our employee handbook. We also did a new hire in the trades department, and we're using the lower volume that we're seeing out there to train her and to make sure that she's comfortable and up to speed. So as a business owner, take advantage of some of these temporary dips in the volume, because when you're a high producing business, you need to catch your breath sometimes and revisit some of these policies and then stay on top of some of this stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. We're doing the same thing. January, early February is the time for us to catch up on any outstanding reports. We're improving our standard documents. We're upgrading them, taking a look at all that, our introductory letters, reviewing, and we also have new technology systems coming in. We introduced one late last year for signing people remotely, and technology is fabulous. We're just getting some kinks out because we're a bit of the guinea pig with the company doing it, and it's working fabulously, and the clients love it. And we're taking that to the next level and incorporating our corporate documents and business types of documents to be part of that process as well. And like you said, you got to take advantage of the time, because we know once the real estate market hits full stride in early spring, you're too busy to focus on that type of things. You're just trying to get your deals closed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, the government has really moved along with, the pace of the technology as well, because I know your law firm was instrumental in helping InAgent incorporate, and that whole process was done online, and the paperwork came back online, and all the certificates came back in an electronic version from the government, and that was all pretty seamless as well. So everybody's adapting to the times that we're currently in, which is great to see.
Well, it's funny, David. I love that comment that from your end, that it seems seamless, because that's fabulous. That's exactly what we want clients to feel when we get something done. And like I tell our lawyers and our clerks all the time, we always have to look like we're ducks at our end. Like on the surface, we're calm and cool and everything looks like it's under control, but underwater, we're going like crazy. We're paddling like crazy. It was far from seamless to get that going. With the government changes through some challenges, let's say, at us and everybody else, because everything wasn't working the way it was supposed to work as things got launched and their system changed. But like that's typical with anything. You got to work it out. There's some stuff, but at the end of the day, we got it done. And it's always great to hear that from your end, you thought it was seamless.
David, I give you a lot of credit because I know you and I will have like these, 40-minute conversations about topics that are happening in the brokerage. And, I can just imagine what's going on in the background. And you always give us your full attention. You're always really calm on the surface. So, I guess that comes with time, right? Because like sometimes even myself as a business owner, I have like 4 phone calls coming in, tons to deal with. And it's really easy to get frazzled in those situations.
Yeah, it is. And it happens to me like it happens to everybody else. It's just a question of how you manage yourself and you manage the people you're working with. And you can't do everything at the same time. You got to break it down, get one thing done at a time and focus on the next thing. And I always focus on the result that we need and how we're going to get there. And, and there's always going to be some challenges. Nothing's as smooth as you expect it to be or hope it to be. And you just have to work through it. So to start ranting and raving and panicking isn't going to help me. It's not going to help my staff, the other lawyers I work with. So I encourage everybody to try and let's just focus. What do we got to do first? What do we got to do second? Just keep going that way because you can't get it all done at the same time.
Yeah, no, great advice. You have to remain emotionally in the moment and stay focused on, trying to solve the problem as opposed to escalating the situation for no apparent reason, right?
Yep.
Gord, super excited to have you on today on the podcast. And InAgent is a program that I'm very familiar with because we ran the training brokerage at Sutton Summit, and the results were, we'll get into that in a little bit. But tell us a little bit about InAgent.
Well, I should probably just start at the beginning of kind of how InAgent came to be.
Absolutely.
Which will ties into my own story as a real estate investor. I've been investing in real estate for over 30 years, which explains all of this gray hair, but it started in Canada for the most part and then branched out to the US in Southwestern Ontario primarily, and then started doing flips in Detroit, and around the year 2010 or 11, really started looking towards the US after the 08 crash, when Americans didn't want to hear the word real estate, and the deals were very prevalent. And so and I say all that to get to the real point here, which I will get to in just a second, as I preface it with this as well. I've been a trainer in real estate investing for about 18 or 19 years now. And I've had my own company. I've worked for other Canadian people. I've worked for US gurus, as they say. And in all of my travels, both as a investor and as a trainer, experiencing or getting sort of the feedback from graduates of whatever seminar course that they took and are out there in the field looking for their own deals and everything as they were trained to do, it came to me to the realization that although all these real estate investors are all trained up, they're all out there looking for deals, they inherently stumbled upon one common problem, which I myself personally had multiple frustrations with. And that is working with a real estate agent that actually understands the criteria, the needs of a real estate investor. So personally, and I know many investors will share a similar experience, but you phone up an agent in your area, or even when you're looking outside of your area, you have this common conversation of, hey, I'm looking for a property in this particular price point that, this typical property makeup, because I want to either flip it or I want to do a long-term hold on it or what have you. And the agent goes, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And first, even backing that up, you phone up an agent and go, hey, do you work with investors? And they all go, uh-huh, of course I do.
For sure.
And so then you go into this full dissertation about what your criteria is, what your price point, geographical area, property makeup, and the fact that it needs to actually make money at the end of the day. And the agent goes, yep, no problem, no problem. Why don't I start sending you some listings? And you go, okay, well, I figured that's the protocol. So I sit, and then suddenly my inbox fills up with properties that make no sense whatsoever, and 99% of the time are majorly in negative cash flow positions. And so you think, did I express myself properly to this agent? Did I really convey what my needs were? And I kind of go, yeah, I did. So it inherently comes back to the agent not really understanding the needs and how to analyze property and fulfill the actual the needs of that real estate investor, and really be able to work with them ongoing. Because as you guys know, real estate investors, unlike homeowners who might do 3 transactions in their lifetime, real estate investors will do 3 transactions per year or more, so because they're building portfolio, they're working whatever strategy that they're implementing, whether it's flipping, rent to own, long-term hold, multi-unit, what have you, they're always looking for the next deal. And consequently, a kind of a light bulb went off, and I thought, there's got to be a system to fill this knowledge gap. And it's not the fault of the agent, because when getting their licensing, they're not taught anything about the actual investment side of the business. So I don't fault the agent at all for this. And those that have risen and become investor agents at this point, in most cases, they've gone out and bought property themselves and kind of learned it by what the rest of us do, is just through the experience of being a real estate investor. So I thought there needs to be a training that actually assists agents in understanding the financing aspect, because David, you'll probably attest to this, maybe earlier in your career, and I'm speculating here a bit, but when a homeowner goes, hey, Mr. Agent, tell me about the financing aspect. And all of a sudden the deer in the headlights look happens, and they go, call my mortgage broker. So because financing is a ginormous part of analyzing a property to determine whether it's going to be cash flow positive, there's that aspect involved in the training, as well as understanding all of the strategies that investors use, et cetera. So I created this 12-week intensive training that really helps agents understand the needs of the investor, how to work with multiple types of investors, and by doing that, I felt that this is going to be a win-win for agents, because those agents that are struggling to find regular business and create what I like to call a 50 deal per year business, that's easy to do once that agent garners even a small consortium, if you will, of investors, because again, they like to perpetuate their deals. They like to build their portfolios. So the agent wins because they're doing more deal flow quicker, speeding up that sales process, all of that, because investors are not as picky as homeowners, and because they're not emotional purchases, they are all based on the numbers. So the agent wins because they're doing more deals. And of course, the investor wins because they're dealing with somebody that actually understands them and is fulfilling their criteria. And because of that, that investor's going to stick with that agent for life because they're getting from that agent exactly what they're asking for. So why would they go anywhere else? And I know client loyalty is a huge issue in the business. So this solves that as well. And the investors, they network with other investors. Investors, all they do, live and breathe. They're geeks, they're nerds. They talk about real estate investing all day long, right? So they network with other investors. And because they're in an investor's experience, so few agents that understand them, well, they're going to spread the news. So the referral system there is quite prevalent. So this InAgent has really filled this gap, this knowledge gap with agents, and really has been the go-between, as I mentioned, between investors and agents. And is that win-win is just, in my mind, ultimately raising the bar of knowledge in the industry and just being able to provide that service. And of course, any agent that takes this training, not only will they be able to work with investors, but how much better are they at working with the regular home buyer clients with the knowledge that they've gained? So,
Gord, I mean, tons of information to unpack, but the biggest trend I'm seeing right now in the marketplace, in the Canadian marketplace, and this trend has been so prevalent over the last, I would say, 3 years, like it's become really mainstream, right? Where every single person that you come into contact with understands the power of investing in real estate and what, even a single property can do to change their life, to change their finances, to change their future, right? So I think, the timing for this has probably never been better, right? I think there's such a need from clients and in the marketplace. And, when you talk about your experiences with agents, I know you and I have spoken before in the past, and you've transacted, all over the United States and all over Canada. You've lived in Toronto, you've moved to Vancouver, right? And you've experienced these issues geographically in every location.
yeah. Yes, I've invested quite a bit in Ontario, in BC, in Arizona, Florida, Texas, and Nevada, as well as Michigan. And like I said, David, this inherent issue that we're talking about is prevalent everywhere. So, it is really, and you're right, it is so, the real estate investing, even with the average person now, is so prevalent, obviously because we're seeing the huge run up in appreciation. So everyone's attention is now on real estate. And what we also do in this training is enable every agent to go back to their homeowner database who now have uber equity in their property and show them by the numbers how they can buy even one more property as a rental property that will be that catalyst for them to be able to create wealth over time, that generational wealth, and have their money, their dead equity that is sitting in their property, actually be working for them. And that's what the rich people do. That's how rich people get richer. They use the equity that they have in things, use other people's money and build on that. And they're able to consequently build huge portfolios. because they are using other people's money. So why, if the rich people are doing it, hey, that's a bit of an indicator. Why not do it? Because it's open for everybody to do.
Gord, maybe just break down a little bit of how you offer this training. Is it, I assume it's open to any agent to take it or want it, they can contact you, but are you trying to do it through brokerages, that the brokerage is offering this training to their agents, or are you looking to just get agents on their own? How's that working?
Yeah. So it's twofold. So yes, any individual agent can take the training. There's I have all of the trainings pre-recorded online. And then, by the way, there is an exam at the end. We do have to test your knowledge. And because we want the InAgent brand to be able to have that, and the designation that comes with it, to mean something. And the reason behind that is, number one, we want to be training agents that are actually able to help their clients. But as a second point, if David, you're an agent in Mississauga and you have a client that goes, you know what, I can't really afford a property in the GTA, but I can afford a property in Calgary or Saskatoon or something. And so are you going to be able, are you going to feel more comfortable just phoning up a random brokerage in Saskatoon and saying, hey, I've got a client who's looking for an investment property. Are you willing to take this client? And of course, they'll say yes. But if you're able to access the database of agents that have got their InAgent designation, how much more confident are you going to be to call the InAgent in Saskatoon or Calgary or wherever and go, hey, I've got a client. And, you know, I know that's a rhetorical question. Obviously, you're going to be more comfortable sending that client to somebody that you know knows, has gone through the training and knows the stuff that you do, right? So to your point, or to answer your question, David, so yes, individual agents can take the training, but also we offer it through brokerages. Now, so your broker owner can call us up and we can arrange for the entire brokerage to actually take the training, or whoever, you know, the agents within that brokerage, whoever this resonates with, to take that training. And obviously the cost will be much less to the individual agent who takes the training. So, so for you agents out there, maybe go and have a little talk with your broker owner and say, hey, give InAgent a call and we can work something out.
Well, David, maybe you explain how you're dealing with it at Sutton Summit for this type of training.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've known Gord for a really long time. Actually, I've showed Gord some investment properties when he lived in Toronto. And I always say this story. I remember showing him a semi-detached in Oakville for $206,000. And Gord did not pull the trigger because there were some foundation issues that would cost $5,000 to get the house into repair.
He kills me with that story, by the way.
I say it all the time because, you know, I have to rub it in. But, you know, Gord and I have known each other for a long time. And David, as you know, our brokerage is in charge of running the Sutton event in Ontario for all the other brokerages, and we help head office out. I randomly saw Gord's name on the list of exhibitors. And I know Gord is a diehard investor at heart, and you know he's always looking. He was a trainer even back when I met him in the day, and got involved in some really cool and neat aspects when it comes to real estate investing. So I called him, and he took me through the nuances of the InAgent training and designation. And right away, I said to Gord, "Listen, Gord, I do not want to, you know, get an individual agent rate. I want to be able to run this entire training for my entire brokerage, and I want to be able to give any agent the ability to take the course with me. And that's how the licensing was born. You know, Gord and I we were able to put something together that made a lot of sense for both Sutton and for InAgent. And we ran the training for my entire brokerage. And the results were astounding. I think I had 57 agents take the training. The first thing I noticed in the brokerage was, you know, the level of excitement and the buzz that it created. The second thing I noticed that was a little bit of a surprise to me is agents actually started investing and buying their own investment properties, first time ever in their lives. You know, I know at least 4 agents that have bought investment properties for themselves, right? And the ones who already had investment properties went out there and bought more investment properties, right?
Didn't you too?
I bought some investment properties as well. Yeah, absolutely. Especially after looking at the property analysis, right? When you look at the property analysis and you break down the numbers and you see them in black and white, like it's hard to argue with that, right? And it's convincing, right? And the impact that it has on your finances and your ability to leverage and use other people's money and really change the course of your financial future with one property, right? It's so impactful. Imagine with multiple properties, right? So our agents really got behind this. It created a lot of buzz, excitement. You know, Bain, after taking the training, wrote me an email that about 90% of his business that year came from working with investors. He started something called the Millionaire Club, where he gives every single one of his investors that has over $1 million worth of investment properties, a little gold bar, like a really small one. And then there's different levels like 1 million, 5 million, $10 million, right? But I mean, our agents really got behind this idea and they believed in it. You know, a lot of them went back to their previous clients, you know, and had the conversation about taking equity out of their home and investing in real estate, in real estate properties. So we were finding that they're transacting more frequently, right? That there's already an established trust with their existing client base, and they're going to that client base and getting them to transact more. And we found that it's building a lot loyalty with their clients, right? When you're this impactful and you're able to, you know, really change the financial future of your clients, they're going to be loyal to you forever, right? So ultimately, what this turned into for us is a different way of prospecting and a different way of creating leads for our agents. You know, and as a broker owner, I get agents coming to my office all the time. David, I need help. I don't know where my business is coming from. You know, and InAgent and the ability to convert clients into investors, you know, it's just a different way of having a conversation. You meet somebody, you know, on the street and they ask you, what do? You can say, well, I'm a real estate agent, right? And then, you know, that, you know, puts you in one category. Or you can say something like, well, I help people retire 10 years earlier, right? And then all of a sudden that second comment, like it spurs a completely different conversation, right? So yeah, I'm very thankful that we had the ability to run this training for our brokerage. In fact, we ran it twice now. And, you know, the second time around, I think we had 52 people attend. We had a lot of new realtors join the program the second time around. And, you know, the results were even more powerful the second time around. You know, even the agents that took the course for the second time, you know, they're just getting on board and you know, learning the language and learning how to analyze properties and, you know, transacting even more in terms of the investment properties out there, but it's been very impactful on the broker.
David, what has that done for your retention and recruitment as a broker owner?
Yeah. Well, we've grown extraordinarily over the last months. You know, our retention is really solid as well. You know, people are not leaving. And look, when a brokerage makes this sort of investment into its realtors, the realtors are going to appreciate it, right? I mean, there's just no question about it. And I think brokerages need to do more, right? We need to step up our training. We need to invest more in realtors, right? Because at the end of the day, that translates to more bottom line for the brokerage as well, right? Our model has always been growing together, and training our agents is a big part of that.
So maybe, Gord, you could describe a little bit in terms of the type of investment and time that an agent would have to put in to do this training. And I assume it's all online at this point, or are they actually attending specific dates and times for certain training periods, or it's available for them to go click on and do it on their own when they want to do it?
Yes and yes. So it is pre-recorded online, so an individual agent can take it at their leisure. So it's learn at your own pace. When we do it in brokerages, we do once per week. They're basically 90-minute sessions, once a week for 12 weeks. And then we do an exam. And for our broker owners, we also, after the training is done and the exam is done, we also run mastermind sessions on how to implement your knowledge and how to market. And we show agents how to do low cost, or for the most part, zero cost marketing to be able to establish and grow their investor database. So we do monthly masterminds. And another cool thing that we offer in the brokerage licensing program is every month or every 2 months, depending, we run kind of a white label, if you will, webinar for agents who have a conversation with, say, a past client or a new lead that they're talking to, and maybe they talk to them about real estate investing, and maybe that prospect is still on the fence about it. Well, we allow the agent to invite them to a webinar where I show go through just really the benefits of real estate investing and the power of real estate investing, so that prospect's hearing it from somebody else other than just their agent. So we're able to take maybe a lukewarm lead, and at the end of that, they're a white hot lead at that point. So, yeah.
So it's, I don't know, I'm not as good in math as you are, obviously, but that sounds to me like about 18 hours of training through these programs.
Yeah. I think your math is pretty accurate. Something like that. Yes, it's about 18 hours of training with, we provide agents the ability, if they've got any questions, they can email us or what have you. We want to be very available, if you will, for agents to be able to understand this whole process. And because we're very adamant about raising the bar of the industry, we really feel a responsibility even at this point there. So we want to provide as much help to the agents as possible. And also for our broker owners, we provide them all of the tools so in order to get this whole thing rolling in their brokerage, we basically are able to send them all of the emails that they need to send to their agents and everything. So it's a very smooth system that we have on our back end. So the brokers they're not labored with the task of having to implement this in the brokerage. We really spoon feed them, if you will.
Yeah. And Gord, for the brokerages, it's also a live training, which is nice too.
It's live, yeah.
Yeah, it's not pre-recorded for the brokerages. So if a brokerage purchases a license, it is live training. And that's a really nice hands-on component. The other thing is there is a big homework component as well for each lesson. It kind of breaks down and forces the agents to think differently about how they do their business, how they prospect, and how they kind of build out their team. So there is a big homework component after taking the training as well every week. So the agents, they need to put in a little bit of time, and without doing that, they're not going to see the effects that they would otherwise with this training. But I would honestly encourage every agent out there to get their InAgent designation. It's worth it. It's a different way of doing business. It's a different way of prospecting. It's a different way of lead generation. And I think investing in real estate has the ability to really transform your client's life on so many different levels, right? And that's, if you market your services like that to your client base, I think it's everybody.
David, if I could comment on that, and you bring up a point that I haven't yet, is this is not textbook training. It is practical, get in the trenches, and every one of the trainings builds on the one before it. And so between each training, so the week between each training, from the last training, each agent, we provide action steps that implement exactly what we've been talking about. And it's all to build your business. So it's all positive steps to build your business. So it's not like drudgery that you're having to go through because you're having to fulfill some random example assignment that really doesn't matter to you. Like if any of you went to university or whatever, a lot of stuff you learn in university is not really transferable to the actual real world. Well, this is all real world stuff. So everything is designed to build your business one step at a time in this investor world. So it's not, I feel it's not drudgery. It's exciting that the agent is going through these steps and creating a new business or in this new vertical. Plus, we provide downloadable tools that we discuss in each aspect. So there's calculators and there's scripts and all these things that really make the agent's experience quite smooth, that they can use in their business, in their conversations with prospects and homeowners, and different things that they can actually physically fill in that they'll be able to present to their clients, their investors, and show them very quickly, this based on your situation, your personal situation. If you bought this property, this is what it looks like. And it's easy. You don't need to have keen negotiation skills or sales skills, because the numbers actually just do all the selling for you. So it makes the sales pretty easy.
And it sounds great that it's all like practical training and not, lectures and textbooks and that type of thing. You can actually feel it and touch it. And as soon as you're talking about a situation, probably all the agents can relate to what you're talking about because they already have a property in mind, or you've got an example of the property and you work out the numbers and say, there it is. Like you show someone these numbers, they're real. And like you said, that's your agent. That's the selling point, the numbers themselves, as opposed to the smooth talking sales agent.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the numbers might not be exciting in the first year or two, right? But as you pay down the mortgage, right, which by the way, the tenant is doing for you, right, and the property builds an appreciation. And Gord, a lot of the appreciation rates that you've been using are like 3%, 4%. Like they're very, very
most,
conservative, right?
Super conservative, yeah.
We know that we've been, in double-digit appreciation rates in our market for the last, 14 years in a row, right? If you use double-digit appreciation rates in your financial analysis, I mean, they blow these numbers out of the sky. I think you get 100% return on your money in most cases in like 3.5 years. Like, I mean, it's just mind-boggling, right? And investors have been able to achieve this over and over and over again, right? And I think that's why it's important that we as an industry pay attention to this, right? Because it's, people are asking for this on an everyday basis, basically.
Exactly. And a rule that I have created in my own business, and I convey quite often, is when an individual is buying a pre-sale condo or what have you, they're buying strictly for one profit center. And what is that, David?
Appreciation.
Appreciation only. But that's a wild card. Nobody knows what the market's going to do. Yes, we've seen a constant increase since actually in the GTA since 1996, other than a few little dips, it's been going up. But I'm old enough to remember when there was a crash in the GTA in 1989. Yep, dating myself, lots of gray hair. So that is, that was a thing then, and no one expected it to happen. So who knows? That's the wild card thing. So
wait, Gord, I'm going to stop you for there. I'm going to say this on air because I know you're not a fan of appreciation, and I know you're not a fan of buying pre-construction. Talk to us about and I mean, a lot of people are listening, they know that pre-construction has yielded a lot of appreciation. A lot of people have made a lot of money, but talk to me about the other. So that's one profit center, appreciation. Describe these 7 other profit centers to us. I bet you a lot of even realtors don't know what those 7 profit centers are, but I mean, 8 profit centers from investing in real estate. Like that's pretty extraordinary.
It is. And, as profit, and by a profit center, I mean, it's another way to make money. And as we know, in any stock market investment, crypto, whatever, it's basically one profit center. It's buy low, sell high, right? And a lot of people don't even do that properly. But in real estate, there is up to 8 profit centers. David mentioned the one, appreciation. We all know that one. But there's the first one being instant equity. So actually investors like to buy properties under market value. Now, before everybody loses their mind, there are properties that can be found in any market at any time that will be sold under list price. And maybe they're even, dare I say, off the MLS. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Properties trade off the MLS. Yes, folks, they do every day, all day long. Next is instant equity. So that's instant equity. So that's buying something that's below list price or buying an opportunity where there is room for growth very quickly. So you're building in a bit of profit up front, right? You're building in some money up front. And then, of course, there is forced appreciation. So what is that? That is being able to take a property and beautify it, put in a secondary suite, do a number of things to that property, which actually raises the value. It can enable that investor to be able to charge much higher rents because the property is now beautified. Maybe there's 2 incomes. It went from a single family. Now there's a secondary suite in the property. So it's actually raising the value, and it'll also raise the value in terms of what the lender perceives it as, the new appraisal. Then, of course, there's cash flow. So that's the money that is left over at the end of the month after all the expenses, mortgage payment, and other expenses are made. So that's the net. That's the net cash flow. So that's spendable money. Then we have depreciation, which is a tax benefit that the CRA allows real estate investors. It's also known as capital cost allowance. So people can save money on their taxes. And when it comes to tax, it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep at the end of the day, right? So there's tax savings there. So it's kind of money in your pocket. what am I missing, David? We have leverage. So leverage is can be considered a profit center because you're using other people's money. You're using lenders or banks' money, only having to put down 20% on an investment property, and having the bank provide you 80% of the property, 80% of the money to buy that property, but benefiting from 100% of that property.
And I always love to say this whenever we talk about leverage is try to go into the bank and ask them to borrow money so you can buy their stock and see what response you get from them.
Yes. Yeah, you walk into whatever bank, go, hey, can you lend me $500,000 to buy your own stock? And they'll call security really quickly. And as they're throwing you out, go, by the way, how much money would I need to buy $500,000 of your stock? And they'd go, 500,000. Now get out of here. But if you went, okay, wait, how about I buy a $500,000 property? How much money would you give me? And they'd go, well, they'd probably give you 400,000 of that 500, right? So it's a whole different conversation. Yes.
Yeah. And leverage is probably one of the more, right, at profit centers. Like, I mean, people don't really talk about it enough, but you are really multiplying your money.
Exactly. And then another one is refinancing. So as say in a 5-year term, you buy a property, it is generating everything we're talking about, and you've got that mortgage pay down, which is another profit center, which I should probably talk about now. So mortgage pay down is, over time, your mortgage, the principal balance on the mortgage is getting paid down by the tenants. So that's just a mechanism that is working incrementally. That investor is gaining more and more equity, more and more ownership of their property every month. And so coupled with mortgage pay down, you've got that natural market appreciation happening. And after 5 years on your term, well, gosh, you could go back, get a new appraisal and get a new mortgage based on that higher value and pull out a bunch of that initial capital from that down payment and closing costs and any renovation costs that you put in, and utilize that money to do what? Put it as a down payment on the next property. And that's another way people can continue to grow their portfolios.
Yep. And by doing that, you actually have an infinity return on your initial investment because you've now taken all the money that you initially put in out. It's back in your pocket. You can buy another property with it. You still own the real estate. The tenants are still paying down your property. You're still enjoying all 8 of those profit centers, right? But you now have no money in the deal, and you haven't, infinity return on your investment as long as you own that property, which is phenomenal.
That's the goal of all your properties with infinity returns. Come on.
Yeah. So are those all 8 profit centers now?
I wasn't counting. So
instant equity, forced appreciation,
cash flow, natural appreciation, leverage, depreciation, mortgage pay down, and leverage. Refinance. Yep.
And refinance.
I think we got them all.
Amazing.
That's pretty good. And I assume you go through all of that in great detail as part of the training for everybody.
No, of course we do.
So, but just what someone can learn listening to that for the last 5 minutes is encouraging anybody to look into this further, because it can only be a win-win. So if you're an agent, I'm sure every agent that goes into this and looks at it is looking at it from 2 points of view. One, how to explain this and get investors to buy more real estate, but I'm sure every single one of them is thinking about it for themselves too, right? And
our goal is for agents to become their own best client. So,
yeah,
that's for sure.
One of my favorite,
and that's another profit center for the agents and the investor too, because they can deal with their own commission.
Exactly.
So, there you go, number 9. Heard it right here.
Nice. I like it.
So one of my favorite mastermind sessions that Gord runs, and the mastermind sessions are, monthly meetings where, we implement a lot of the course material into real life situations, right? So one of the ones that he does is rent to own, and a lot of agents, don't really deal with rent to own or don't like dealing with rent to own, but it's such a powerful mechanism for solving big issues in the marketplace, like affordability, like not having enough down payment, right? And I mean, it creates such a good tenant, right? If you rent a property with the option to purchase, number one, you're making, you're paying above market value for the rent. Number two, there's a allotted amount of money that you're paying as a forced savings towards your down payment. If you ever breach your contract, you forfeit that money that you're paying. So usually you get a great tenant. The person's invested into the property, right? Because they know at what point the goal is for them to become an owner. So they're going to treat the property like gold. You will never have issues with the tenant. You're getting above market rent. You're getting another, forced savings for them towards their down payment that they forfeit if they ever leave or breach the lease. And you're helping solve a major issue in the marketplace of affordability or bad credit, or there's so many different aspects that you can approach and really specialize in a niche market by using the rent to own strategy that agents stay away from because they don't understand, right? But it's a great way to really transact more, solve more issues, and put landlords and investors together. Like, I know an investor that will personally buy property for a tenant that has bad credit, and there's an exit strategy, and it's it's all outlined, but it works really well for the investor. I think they get something like 36% return a year on their money. The tenant loves it because it's their only chance to get into a property if they don't have enough savings, and everybody wins, right? But it all starts with the real estate agent. We need to raise the level in the industry so agents are aware that these type of products exist, and the next time somebody calls them and says, hey, I don't have 20% down, I want to buy investment property, they know that they can still put the deal together by thinking outside the box and approaching in more creative ways, right? Another mastermind session that Gord did for the brokerage is, we actually took a scenario and said, okay, we're going to have 3 different market corrections. We're going to do a 10% market correction. We're going to do a 20% market correction. And then we're going to do a 50% market correction. We're going to hold this property for 25 years, and we're going to see what the numbers look like. And in a 50% market correction over a 25-year period, as long as you have positive cash flow, okay, the investor still gets 100% return investment. Like, not that there's no risk here, right? Because there's always risk, but these numbers don't lie, and the results are so compelling. And 25 years, it sounds like a long time to a lot of people, but it goes by quick.
Tell me about it.
Anyways,
you're so right,
David. I mean, Gord and I are pretty passionate about real estate investing, and this course really speaks to that, and it's a fabulous course, and I love the branding. I love what Gord's trying to accomplish, and we're in all the way.
Well, Gord, it's been fabulous to have you on here. And I want to get one other question before, while we still have a little bit of time. I think some of the focus of what you're talking about, we're talking about landlords and tenants and these investment properties, but I'm assuming you're doing it both on the residential side and a little bit on the commercial side as well, for commercial type investment properties, for those that want to get in that. And there's certainly differences if you're dealing with a commercial industrial type investment property versus a residential investment property, and the type of tenancies and other issues that you got to deal with.
Absolutely, David. And what we do in the training is we're not training agents to become commercial agents. but we are providing the knowledge of commercial property as we progress through the training. So an agent, because a lot of investors will, start in the residential world, and, a lot of them will kind of look to the more commercial side to get into. So what happens then? Does the agent lose this client forever? No, not necessarily. So, I say in the training, I've spoken with lots of commercial broker agents over the years, and one of their biggest pet peeves is getting referrals from residential agents of clients that are not prepared. They've just kind of see commercial investment as a pipe dream and are really not qualified at all, both from their experience and or their ability to close on a deal of that magnitude. So what we do is provide the agent enough knowledge so they're able to have very intelligent conversations about the multitude of commercial type properties, be able to really talk knowledgeably in that arena and qualify that investor for a very warm handoff to a commercial agent, and then be able to justify a co-broker or a good referral, or however that handoff and that relationship works out. But at the end of the day, it provides that agent the confidence to be able to talk all the way up to the commercial aspect of any type of property.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's about the handoff at the end, right? And it all kind of goes to, really paint you as a professional, right? There's a way to do it properly, and there's a way to, not do it properly. So I think by having all the knowledge and be able to really pre-qualify your client, pass over a really warm and hot lead to the commercial agent, just makes that relationship a lot better. And it's going to turn into a better relationship for that client, the commercial agent, right? And the commercial agent knows, here's my mortgage pre-qualification, here's my investment binder with all the portfolios with, exactly what this investor is looking for. That commercial agent can pick up and really, lead to a positive experience for that investor versus, passing a cold lead saying, hey, here's John Smith, call him. He wants to do some commercial investing, which is, what probably happens about 95% of the time in the real estate.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You want to be able to really service and provide that professionalism to your clients. And I think this is definitely the right way to go.
Well, this has been fabulous, Gord. When David and I first started talking about doing this podcast, one of the intentions was just to raise the bar in our industry with the discussions that we're having of different aspects of real estate. From an agent's point of view, from a legal point of view, there's issues, and the program that you've come up with here does exactly that. For a certain segment of the industry, and I think it would be great training for any agent to do. So congratulations to you for putting that together and coming up with the idea, and I'm sure it'll be extremely successful. I can't imagine any brokerage not wanting to take advantage of that, or any agent not wanting to take advantage of it, even if they're not planning to be to get out there to find investors, but even from their own personal viewpoint. I think it's great knowledge, and knowledge is king. So congratulations to you for coming up with this.
Yeah, and I love
Thank
the
you.
branding. Well done on the branding. I mean, I think the name is very powerful. So we're definitely in.
Yes. Are you in?
All
Yeah,
right.
you guys, we've had great feedback from so many agents, both new agents who have just got into the business 2 or 3 years in, and from veteran agents as well, saying, I wish I started, took this training 20 years ago. So we're really getting some nice feedback, and agents are are saying that they're getting more and more deals and working with more and more investors. So it's very fulfilling on this end. So I really want to thank you guys for having me on and allowing me to discuss this training and getting the knowledge out there to the public, not just agents, but we want every real estate investor to be able to ask their agent, hey, are you an InAgent? Because I only want to deal with a guy that's taken that training and got that designation. So thanks for allowing me to share.
And Gord, where can people go for more information? Just very quickly.
InAgent.com.
Awesome.
That'll do it.
Awesome. Well, Gord, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great having you on. And I think, like David said, we peeled back lots of layers, and it was a great podcast. So thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure, gentlemen.
Thanks, Gord.
Welcome to David and David on Real Estate. Join us as we explore the ins and outs of the real estate market and dive deep to understand the issues affecting buyers, sellers, investors, and businesses. If you love real estate as much as we do, sit back, relax, and gain an insider's edge to the exciting world of real estate. David Gorski is a broker and the owner of Sutton Summit Realty, a powerhouse brokerage providing guidance to over 180 realtors. And David Korman is a partner at Kormans LLP, a respected law firm specializing in residential and commercial real estate transactions, with offices located in Toronto, Mississauga, and Markham.